This is going to be a brief walkthrough on how to best manage contacts in MySCA. And in this talk, I'm going to go over why this matters, when to add a contact, and then show you how to add a contact. In partnership development, we talk to a lot of people, either in person or over the phone or via email, when we are actively reaching out to them and talking to them about our programs in the hope that they'll bring on new programs, or when they call us or email us out of the blue saying they want an internship or they want a team. And similarly in program, you all have a lot of conversations with partners that may lead to new contacts either during the off season or even while you're out conducting site visits when things are full swing. Conferences are another place where you might meet new contacts, and even if you just chat with them briefly, it's still valuable to add them in MySCA. And as for why does this matter that we're talking about this, it's really important for us to know who we are working with when we are coordinating positions and agreements with our partners. And relating back to Lori's training from last week, having contacts in MySCA and tracking communication with them helps us keep us informed about who's talking to who, what's going on in terms of business development, project and program setup, and also the management of that program at a site. And really it helps us have informed conversations with our partners and helps uphold professionalism and good customer service for them. For example, there might be a time where you're reaching out to a lab site that used to have programs for new program opportunities, and it's helpful to know what went on at that site previously in terms of programs and who talked to who before you start having your own conversations with them. So I'm going to talk about when to add a contact. And really whenever you personally talk to someone new, if it's in person, on the phone, or in email, this is when you might add a contact. And before you just start right away plugging information in about a person in MySCA, you want to get into the habit of searching in MySCA to see if that contact already exists. So in MySCA, you can search for a contact from any page. Looking at my screen here, in the top left corner of the screen, there's a search box, and that shows up on any page in MySCA if it's organizations, reports, opportunities. You can search from any page. And you can search for contacts using either their first and last name, their phone number, or their email. And email definitely tends to be the most accurate since first names and nicknames can have different spellings. And after searching, you can have several outcomes, the first being that the contact already exists. So I'm going to search for someone that I know is already, if I can type here, in the system. And after I enter in his email, I see that he pops up here as a contact, so he already exists, so I don't have to add him. When you do search for someone and you find that they are already in MySCA, you want to open up their contact record by clicking on their name. And then you just want to double check for accuracy. Is the site they are at up to date? Do they have an email and a phone number? And also an address of where they are located. So those are the major things you want to check to make sure those are up to date and accurate if a contact already exists in the system. So just update the contact record as needed. The second outcome after searching could be that there are multiple contacts already in MySCA for that one person. And so when this happens, what you need to do is to merge them. So say, for example, I talked to Kanye Test this morning on the phone, and I need to log a call. And I search for Kanye, and there are two of him already in MySCA. So in order to merge multiple contacts, the contacts have to have the same organization name. So if you see two contacts with the same name but different organizations and you're pretty confident they are the same person, you need to update both the contact records to the accurate organization before you can merge them. And so, like I said, merging takes place from the organization. So click on the organization. hit the contacts link to take you down to the contacts section on the organization record. And up here you have 3 options for what you can do with contacts, and we want to select Merge Contacts, this middle button. Now in this section is where you pick which contacts you wish to merge, and usually it does identify what the duplicates are, and we'll select them in this left-hand column. So make sure the contacts you want to merge are selected, that the boxes are checked, and click Next. Now in this section, this is where you decide what information you want to keep with the new merged contact. So working down the list here, looking at the contact owner, I want that to be me. The name for both contacts is the same, so we can just keep the original name here. Scrolling down to the email, we see that they both have the same email, and we know that is accurate. Say Kanye called me from a different phone number, not the 773 area code, but the 312 area code number. So I want to keep that as his up-to-date phone number. And this contact record doesn't even have the address here, and we know this is the accurate address. So we're going to keep that, select that to keep that with the new record. So once you have selected all the information you want to keep, you click Merge. It'll say, are you sure you want to do this? This cannot be undone. Click OK. And then you will have, it'll take you back to the organization, but when you go back to your contacts, you'll see there will just be one contact with all the information you decided to keep, like his updated phone number, and now there's an address too. Okay. So the third outcome when you search for a contact might be that there is actually no trace of the person you are trying to find. And in that case, that's when you get to add them as a contact. So for example, I talked to Christopher Test earlier this morning as well, and I need to log a call. And after searching for his name, I see that it pops up a couple of Christophers and a Taylor for me, but none of which are the person I'm looking for. And you can also try searching by email address too, to see if they are there, and there's definitely no matches found, so I get to add Christopher as a contact. And you add contacts from the organization. So I'm going to go back to Ellen's Test org, and again click on Contacts, and this time click New Contact. Now on this page you select what type of contact you are entering into MySCA. There's a drop-down menu, and there's Corporate Partner, Member, Partner, School Contact, or Vendor. And since more often than not we'll be working with partners entering contacts, you select Partner in this case and click Continue. And this is where you enter the information about your contact. And the things you want to be sure to include are a first and last name. Title is helpful, just so you know what kind of context your conversations might be about the project work or programs might be involved in. Department is also helpful, especially when you're working with contacts that work in an area or a program that's different from where the main organization is located. And for example, if you think of National Forests, the main office might be located in one place, and there are other staff working on different ranger districts throughout the forest. So if Christopher was a Forest Service employee, I would indicate what district office he works out of in the department. Ignore this email field that seemed to pop up kind of randomly at one point, and it's not the email field that we rely on when managing our contacts. And that's really the most important information under this section of contact information. Over on the right-hand side of this area, there's a box to check if they're an alum. And that can just be, it's interesting for us to know when it comes to reporting and knowing how many of our partners have actually served with our programs. So check that if you know they're an alum. Under contact information, you want to include their email as well as a phone number. If you have both of them, it's great. If you only have one, that's a great start. So at least include one or the other. And lastly, you want to include mailing information for them. And this usually populates automatically from the organization. But again, if you're looking at, say, staff on district offices on a national forest or staff working out of field offices in another organization, you want to include the actual mailing address for where this person is located. Down in the description and information section, these fields are also not required, but sometimes it's helpful to include information you've gathered from them when talking to them about, are they retiring at some point, or are they taking over for someone else's position? So sometimes it is helpful to include a note there about any changes in staff in terms of departure or replacements. So I'm just going to include that note. Once you have all the information, click Save, and it'll take you to your new contact record, in this case, Christopher Test. You can see all the information you entered, except I forgot to put an email address in for him. But there you go. So once you have a new contact record in the system, you can now track and log communication using the log a call function, email to Salesforce, and all those helpful things Lori covered in her training from last week. And that's really the walkthrough of best practices for managing contacts in MySCA, and it's really important to just get into the habit of checking to make sure contacts already exist in MySCA, and if they don't, add them. If they do, merge them or update them with accurate information.